Today, we're diving into a platform that might just completely change how you think about the API lifecycle. We're going to explore how you can go from just an idea to a live, high-performance API endpoint way faster than you'd normally expect. But first, let's start with a question that probably hits a little too close to home for a lot of development teams. You've got this amazing new feature, but actually shipping the API logic for it feels like hitting a total standstill. So what's really causing all these delays and risks?
Well, the friction usually comes from a few common pain points. You know the drill. You're stuck waiting on back-end teams for every little tweak, you're wrestling with integrating these complex legacy systems, and there's always that fear of deploying without really solid safety nets. And all of that just grinds innovation on your front-end and mobile apps to a halt.
But what if you could just bypass all of those bottlenecks? Imagine using AI to actually generate the complex API logic for you, turning weeks of work into just a few minutes. This platform, xform.sh, boils this whole process down to 3 incredibly simple steps. You just give it some examples from your existing APIs, like a couple of curl commands, then the AI generates all the logic, and you're ready to test it and ship it. It's a really clean, straightforward workflow. Okay, so let's walk through it. Everything kicks off here in the AI logic generator. Instead of writing code from scratch, you're just defining your data sources on the left, and then on the right, you're literally describing the exact API response you want. You're just showing it the before and the after. And this is where the magic really happens. The AI takes what you've shown it and just writes the code for you. It spits out this optimized TypeScript that can fetch data from all your different sources at the same time and mash it all together into the exact format you asked for. Now, of course, you're not just going to ship this blind. This next step is absolutely crucial: validation. Before anything goes live, you can run a full simulation. You can throw custom request bodies at it, even use mock data for your upstream APIs, just to make sure every single edge case is covered before it ever sees real traffic.
So what we end up with is seriously the best of both worlds. The logic itself is in this human-readable TypeScript, which is super easy for any developer to look at and audit. But when it's deployed, it's compiled down into a native Rust binary, which means you get absolutely screaming performance.
All right, you've built the logic. Now let's talk about the part that's often the scariest: deploying it safely. Because, speed without safety is just a faster way to break everything. The platform has you covered with critical features like Canary releases. You see this simple slider? You can deploy a new version and maybe send just 10% of your traffic to it at first. This lets you watch its performance and make sure everything's stable before you roll it out to everybody, which, dramatically cuts down the risk.
It's also super flexible in how your API can be used. It supports both standard HTTP, which is great for web apps, and the super high-performance gRPC protocol, which is perfect for your internal microservices. And the best part? It's all handled for you, right out of the box.
And get this, the exact same endpoint can be hit with a simple curl command over HTTP or a gRPC client with 0 extra configuration. The platform just seamlessly handles that translation between protocols. It's awesome.
So, your API is live. Now the focus shifts to monitoring it. And this is where things go from really cool to wow. Because you're moving beyond just charts and getting what's basically an AI on-call engineer. For every single transformation you deploy, you get this beautiful live dashboard. It shows you all the key metrics like requests per second and error rates, and you get these detailed latency numbers. P50 tells you the typical user experience, but P99, that shows you what your slowest users are experiencing. But check this out. This latency breakdown chart is a total game changer. It clearly shows you how much time was spent waiting on your backend services versus how much time was spent in the transformation logic itself. So you can instantly see where any bottleneck is coming from. And that overhead from the transformation, it's practically nothing. On average, we're talking about just 20 microseconds. That's the kind of performance you get from running a native Rust binary. It adds basically 0 latency to your requests. But the platform goes way beyond just metrics with this killer feature called AI On-Call. It's actively watching for problems with the external APIs you depend on, especially for sneaky stuff like schema drift. When an API you're calling just silently changes its data format without telling you.
And here's what that actually looks like. The alerts panel is flagging schema drift. The system automatically caught that an upstream API changed its response. This prevents those silent, hard-to-debug failures that are an absolute nightmare for developers.
Okay, last but not least, let's talk about how these APIs are designed from the ground up, not just for web apps, but to be used directly by AI agents and large language models. This is all made possible by an emerging standard called the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. The easiest way to think about it is that it lets an API advertise what it can do, so that an AI model knows exactly how to call it to get a task done.
So what this really means is that any API you build is instantly available to be used as a tool for an AI coding assistant. The platform literally gives you the copy and paste instructions and code snippets to plug your new API right into tools like Cursor or Claude.
So when you put all these pieces together, the AI-powered building, the super safe deployment, the intelligent monitoring, it really does represent a fundamental shift in the whole API lifecycle.
Let's just do a quick recap. You can build complex logic with AI, cutting development time from weeks to just hours. You can deploy safely with real enterprise-grade features. You get deep observability with live analytics and an AI on-call. And you can instantly make any API a tool for AI agents.
And that really brings us to the final thought. When all the traditional bottlenecks of API development just disappear, and you can build and ship with this kind of speed and safety, what new things does that make possible for you and your team?